Amazon Redshift is part of a cloud computing platform known as Amazon Web Services. It is a fully managed petabyte-scale data warehouse product that is designed for large-scale data storage and processing. It is a fast, powerful, and easy-to-use tool that simplifies data loading and transformation in an ETL process. Amazon Redshift is popular for its efficient data compression features and high speed and scalability, making it a good option for businesses that deal with enormous amounts of data. Astera Centerprise offers native connectivity to Amazon Redshift databases through its database objects such as database source and destination, database lookup, and also with database write strategies. It allows code-free connectivity to access and store data in Amazon Redshift without the hassle of going through complicated configuration processes. This results in uninterrupted connectivity to Amazon Redshift that facilitates building effective data pipelines for seamless integration and high-volume data migration. Let's look at a use case for hospital management using data from an Amazon Redshift database in Astera Centerprise. The hospital has a situation where one of the physicians, Anne Devon, has to leave immediately. We need to find out information about all the patients whose treatment is in progress with her to manage them accordingly. We have patient data regularly being recorded in an Excel sheet which is integrated in the main database at the end of the week. Let's fetch this data through an Excel workbook source object. The data for physicians is directly loaded in the Amazon Redshift database. To retrieve this data, we will first establish a connection with the database using a database table source object. Right-click on the database table source object's header and select Properties. This will open the Properties window where the first screen is the database connection screen. Select Amazon Redshift as the data provider from the drop-down list. The next step is to fill in the required credentials for the Amazon Redshift database. The credentials require a user ID, password, server name, database, and port. Once we have filled in the credentials, we must check if the connection with the database has been established. To do that, we have an option for Test Connection. Let's run the test and see if our connection is established successfully. When the connection is established, the test connection results show that the test completed successfully. Alternatively, it would point out the error causing connection failure. Once the test is successful, click OK and then Next to proceed to the next screen. On the Pick Table screen, we need to select the required table from the Amazon Redshift database. In this case, we will select the physician's data table from the Pick Table drop-down. We have some other data reading options that include table partition options, Centerprise layout, trim trailing spaces, dynamic layout, and incremental read options. We'll keep all these options as default. There is a layout builder on the next screen to modify the object's layout, and other screens for defining the where clause and configuration parameters. Let's click OK. And with that, we've successfully connected to and retrieved the data from Amazon Redshift database in Astera Centerprise. Next, we will join the patient's data from the Excel source and the physician's data from the Amazon Redshift database. Once this data is joined, we will now filter it to get patient records with the status in progress. Now, we will route the filtered data to group all the records that are still in progress for the physician Anne Devon. We have the routed output in two groups, one with all patient records for Anne Devon and all the other patient records grouped by default. The final step is to write this data to our Amazon Redshift database. First, we will write the data with Anne Devon's records. To do that, let's use a database table destination and go to its properties. The first screen is the database connection screen. Here, we have an option to choose from recently used connections. Since we recently connected to the Redshift database to extract our physician data, let's select Amazon Redshift from the drop-down list. We now have the required credentials automatically filled in. Let's test the connection and see if we've successfully connected to the database. The test is completed successfully. We have established connection to the Amazon Redshift database. Let's click OK. On the connection screen, there is an option to provide S3 credentials for Amazon Redshift, which is used if you're using the bulk insert option for loading the data into Amazon Redshift database. In this case, we will provide the credentials to the S3 bucket since we'll be loading the data through bulk insert with batch size. The S3 credentials require an S3 key, S3 secret, and S3 bucket. Once you've provided the credentials for the S3 bucket, test S3 connection to see if the bucket has been connected. When the connection is successful, click OK and then Next to proceed to the next screen. Now create a new table in the database and name it Devon Patients. Other data writing options include defining input ports for mapping, database options such as field lengths, null values, parallel loading options, and data loading options. We will select the bulk insert with batch size option and set the batch size to 10,000. On the next screen, we have a layout builder where we can modify the object's layout. There are other screens such as defining config parameters and setting general options for processing of records and adding comments. We've set the data writing options for Amazon Redshift database. Let's click OK. Now we need to load the data for all the other patients. To do that, we'll get another database table destination object and follow the same steps as we did for writing Devon's patient records to the Amazon Redshift database. We'll provide the Amazon Redshift database credentials and the Amazon S3 bucket to establish the connection. Let's create a new table and name it Patients in Progress. In the data load options, we will select bulk insert with batch size and set the batch size to 10,000. We'll keep all the other data writing options as default. We have now set the database object. Let's click OK. We'll now run the data flow to write our data into the Amazon Redshift database. In the Job Progress window, we have a summary of the tasks run in the data flow, and through the trace, we can see that the job has been completed successfully. If we preview the database table destination object's output, we will see all the patient records that are in progress for the physician Devon. We can now place these patients with other physicians since Devon won't see to them any further. Let's preview the output of the other database table we created. We can see that the records for all the other patients have been written into the table. And that's it! We've successfully configured the Amazon Redshift database to read from and write our hospital management data to it, all in Astera Centerprise.